Well, hello friends and family from around the world. This is Mike with Morning Dew, daily events worldwide, and we are on May 27th, 2020. Welcome to another surviving day on this planet. Welcome to the Daily Dew, where we look at space weather, world weather, disaster alerts from around the world. Looking at our sun today, 304 angstroms, still watching a large plasma filament here, erecting before the departing sunspot. We also have a little bit of incoming activity as well. As you can see, the plasma field being affected here. Some plasma filaments being erected there before it looks like a pretty active sunspot. We'll see in the coming days. Looking here at another night, at another light, and we have no coronal holes to talk about. Just this small area of interest, the incoming sunspot, and as well the small black coronal hole equatorial. Looking here at our real-time solar wind, as we're steady and low at 300 kilometers per second. You can see the phi angle flipped and has not flipped back for the last few hours. This is the last 24 hours, so about 12 hours ago it did. Looking here at the Schumann resonance, definitely not anything like the day before, as we are at a low power of 23. Have a look at earthquakes the last 24 hours, as it's been pretty busy, as there was a 5.6 in Vanuatu that was upgraded to a 6.1. We're going to get to that. We also had a pretty sizable 4.2 in Nevada this morning, Tonopah again, and as well as sizable aftershocks, 3.3, 3.2, 5.2 over here in Japan, and as well as a lot of activity. Philippines plate here, 4.9, 180 kilometer depth, and then throughout Micronesia, 4.3, Indonesia, 4.5, 621 kilometer depth. That is a very deep earthquake for that region. So stay aware and prepared. Watch for a larger, shallower earthquake to come. So they were saying here is a 5.6 in Vanuatu, but it was upgraded to a 6.1. So very active region today throughout Vanuatu and as well Fiji with deep earthquakes. Observing here a 5.4 mid-Indian ridge, Somalia plate into Australian plate, and as well a 4.6 mid-Atlantic ridge. So a lot of equatorial movement, and as well North American plate. Let's have a look at the last 7 days for earthquakes, as we're starting to see a lot more elevated rings again, going through a deeper earthquake event. So stay aware and prepared. Larger, shallower earthquake to follow, most likely in our quiet zone, which would be Fiji here, Japan, or even the Alaska, BC, US coastline, Cascadia fault line. Just have a plan and be ready, guys. That's the last 7 days for earthquakes. Let's have a look at the Pacific Disaster Center here, showing the most recent disasters and satellite imagery of our weather. As we had Tropical Storm Bertha make landfall this morning, as overnight it turned into a Category 1 tropical storm. So that penetrated the South Carolina coastline this morning and is now up into Virginia. Looking here at the most recent volcanoes being updated, Sabancaya in Peru, Ebuko in Russia, as well Kermiski in Russia, Dokono in Indonesia, Asosan in Japan, Sangay in Ecuador, Era in Japan, and as well Ebuko. Oh, I already said Ebuko. So that's about 9 volcanoes being updated the last 24 hours. Stay tuned. Later this evening, a volcanic activity report will be coming out. Observing here many flood alerts. It took a while to get through all these volcano alerts, as we've been bombarded here in the United States with the flood alerts. They seem to be going off every 2 minutes. And as well, we now have new tornado warnings through Raleigh, North Carolina, as Tropical Storm Bertha has made landfall. We'll be heading through the Virginia state, Tennessee, and then into Ontario. Looking here, satellite imagery of it making landfall, moving northward. So NOAA has predicted, and they did this about 5 to 6 days ago, an above normal season for the Atlantic hurricanes. And is it expected, of course, by forecasters with NOAA's Climate Prediction Center, a division of the National Weather Service. The outlook predicts 60% chance of an above normal season, 30% chance of a near normal, and 10% of a below normal. So most likely we are going to see a very, very busy hurricane season. 60% chance of 13 to 19 named storms, as we are already through Arthur and now Bertha. Cristobal is next. So stay aware, prepared, and stay tuned to Morning Dew. Let's get to the 5-day forecast brought to you by Meteo Earth. Meteo Mike, always starting out here, overlooking home base, Calgary, Alberta. As we have some pretty nice temperatures this last little bit. Still some cool nights. And a little bit of spring-like action. But definitely drying up later in the week throughout the United States. And later in the week, watch for pop-up thunderstorms Saturday into Sunday for Alberta, northern Alberta, and southern Alberta, as that low splits off from the Pacific and one scoots northeast into Alberta. The other one just keeps spinning off of Alaska there. So watch for a lot of rain through BC interior as well. Some really cool temperatures behind it. These temps are just hanging around. I don't get it. Well, I kind of do. I've only been talking about it for about 3 years. Y'all know what I'm talking about. All right, let's carry on here. So yeah, as we have that low pressure system moving into Alberta later in the week, the United States is going to be drying out as those two lows converge on the east coast there over the next couple days. But in the long range forecast, not much rain in the forecast. So get out there and get your planting done if you can. There are flooding conditions all across the United States. And now we have tropical storm here in the Pacific that is forming in Central America. 5-day forecast shows it moving into Guatemala by Sunday. So stay aware and prepared, my American friends. You could have a tropical storm moving into your Gulf of Mexico. Overlooking South America, watch for daily evaporation rains, heavier amounts throughout Venezuela, Colombia, and Panama, the normal regions as of late that have seen the heavy rains. Also observing heavy snow in Argentina. And as this low develops in the long range forecast, watch for some moisture and not too much for extreme weather, as cool temperatures are really starting to move in to the southern tip of South America in Argentina. Overlooking Australia, not much to talk about except for a little bit of rain, southeastern parts later in the forecast. And then we have 2 tropical storms forming here on their way to Yemen. So stay aware and prepared. Indian Ocean is volatile this season, and I think we could have a record number of cyclones here as well, as we already have 2 tropical storms heading towards Yemen, and this happened last year when we had twin cyclones heading into the Sea of Oman. I'm going to leave you here looking at the southern hemisphere versus the northern hemisphere, and please notice that both the large low pressure systems that are spinning around the southern hemisphere, they have multiple vortices, yes, but there is one strong low pressure system that is in them. They're getting bigger, they're getting stronger, more volatile. Look at the size of this one off of South America. And a drastic change to the northern hemisphere. Much love to y'all, and thank you so much for watching. Stay aware and prepared, stay young and have fun, and get your morning dew. Bye-bye.